Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. We want to take a look at right now the strongest strategy to gain 3 stars in Clash of Clans, but at the same time at one of the hardest. For this I will show you a couple of live attacks and then we'll go over them again, and I will try to explain more in depth why I deployed which troops and how many loons should you deploy on which defense. Okay, we have a classic anti-2-star base. I think this base itself is already really well known. So let's figure out a way on how we can triple this. So what I normally try, or like there are a couple of options you can do with Sui LaLo on this one. The first thing is that you can just like interrupt the ring. I will show you guys that in the like highlights after the attack. And then you can go for the bottom as well. That's like a couple of options you can go for. I will try to go in for the ring option because I think it's the stronger one. Then I will use my king. Using the king ability, and now my queen should be able to get a bit of value over here. So we have to use the queen ability in a second. I will use the poison spell as well. Okay, we won't get the air defense, which sucks, but we should be still fine. Okay, so everything over here is good. Coconut loon, and then the slammer. And now the hound, and just drop on all of those defenses the loons. Drop a haste over here, drop a haste over here, and freeze the eagle. And then I will just wait for my loons catching up, drop the next hound, and drop another group of loons. 1 coconut loons if there are any red mines. And then we have just a really big group coming in. Which should make it to the town hall. Even though we didn't got the sweeper, we should be still fine. Freeze this now. So Warden follow. Warden is following, really nice. And this should be a really nice triple, I think. So let's heal over the multi-inferno tower. I don't think that we need any heal for the couple of Tesla at the top. Even though the healers and the sweeper is annoying, but we should have plenty of cleanup troops for the triple on this base. So it shouldn't be any issue. I won't place the archer or the warbreakers at the top because I don't want to lure any ground skeleton traps, because that would be just wasted. So I will just place them at the bottom to pretty much do nothing. And yeah, that's basically how to triple this base. Even though this was not completely maxed, it wouldn't make any difference. The king will always get the enemy queen. This is the important part. My own queen will always get the 2 furthest on the outside located defenses. And those are the 2 important things. And I will show you guys how to do this in depth. Okay, so on bases like this, you have those, even though it's not like a classic anti-ring base, but at the same time, it's a ring base again. You have the town on the core, and then you have like a ring around without any defenses, which makes the pathing into the town hall a little bit complicated. So at this point, you have to work with pathing, which means if you're getting your queen on this side to take out at least those buildings, if it's possible, take out the air defense as well, but that's just like a bonus. And then take out the enemy queen to not have to worry about that. You can see kind of like a pathing is getting created slowly but surely. We will wait until actually I got rid of all of this, because then I can explain a little bit more and better on how the pathing is important. So let's freeze it at this point. What I can do now is I can deploy the slammer on this build on the cannon, which makes the pathing for the slammer like this. And this means that the ring is interrupted because it won't path to the sweeper, which means my slammer interrupted the ring, because now I will use a different color, because now there's a gap. Like there's a gap in between the ring, which forces all of my loons into this direction. And they have a really slim path, which makes it really good for me. So as soon as I have broken up the ring and my slammer going into the eagle, I can start deploying the main part of my LaLo, which means 1 hound onto the air defense. With the loons behind, I can drop on every single defense over here. You can always drop between 3 and 4 loons, because you have 31 loons. You have to somehow deploy them. And then you can place another hound from this direction and place one more group of loons to this. And now you have to work again the next, like the pathing after the drops, which means this group is pathing over here. This group is pathing over here. This group, this group, this group. They're all pathing pretty much into the way you want them to path. And you see they're finally grouping up in the middle again, because you can always drop them that you have in the end a huge group at this point. And with having such a huge group, you can try to force them in with the reinforcement troop on this side. If you can clear this, or I will use once again different color, sorry. If you can clear this, the big group in the beginning is getting forced onto the sweeper, and then they will split onto the town hall, onto the upper side. And exactly this happened, which made it really easy for me to use the perfect one ability. And with all of those arrows, I know it's like confusing, but you will see in a second that exactly that happened. So let's see. We drop the slammer, normal speed again. We drop the slammer is going, like I said, into this direction. And now we have the loons coming in. Like I said, they're grouping up and grouping first. The first big group of loons is at the eagle. That's like the first big meeting for the loons. And then we have all of the loons coming in. We have this group from the core. We have this group from the outside grouping up at this air defense. And now we have the group on the other side trying to force the other group in. I get rid of the wizard tower, I get rid of the cannon, and now all of the loons grouping up together on this one, and now they're splitting. That's important part in the end. They're splitting a couple of them into the core, and if you place the rage correctly, then you can, even if you have only 2 to 3 loons onto the town hall, that's totally fine, because you see, it's so easy to just overwhelm a base like this. And once again, it would have been made no difference if the defenses would have been maxed or anything. The sweeper is annoying. I would have liked to take out the sweeper as well, but it wasn't possible for this attack. But yeah, still, it's like a crazy overkill. And we have the first triple for this video. Okay, now let's take a look at this base. And now I'm trying to explain once again really in depth how the LaLo works. So on this base, I will pause at this point really quickly. This base is really specific about the core, because we have a really heavy core with 3 of the 4 air defenses. We have 3 of the 3 Inferno towers in there. We have all of the expos in there. We have the enemy queen, enemy one, 2 wizard towers in there. So it's like a huge death bore pretty much for any troops which are coming in there. So how do we actually to manage that we can enter the core and pretty much overwhelm it with our just power of loons? First off, what you have to do, because it's once again kind of like a ring base, you have those outside defenses circling the base kind of like a ring. So first off, you have to interrupt this ring. That's the first point. You have to search for a spot where you have really like a lot of value. First, taking out in the ring itself, for example, like wizard towers, air defenses, stuff like this. And second of all, you try to dodge the sweepers, because both of the sweepers are pointing into this direction, which means we want to enter from this side of the base, which means we have to get rid of one of the sides, which means one of the corners of this base, with starting our LaLo, because as soon as we interrupted at one of the corners the ring of defenses, we can actually start in our LaLo with our hounds and the loons in behind. So let's wait until my heroes are finished, and then we're taking a look at the LaLo part. So queen ability to take this out, and queen will die now. So let's pause it over here. First thing I'm doing is dropping the hounds onto the air defenses. So those are the 3 hounds which are going to fly across. The next thing I want to do is the LaLo pathing. So I drop the loon pathing. I want to drop on every single defense a couple of loons, so they will make it actually into the core, and I have a big group of loons coming into the core all together. The next thing is, where should I drop my slammer? Normally you try to find places with your slammer where not too much splash damage is around, but at the same time you can tank a little bit for your loon group. So I decided to, let's drop it on this cannon. It should fly back onto the wizard tower and then into the core, which means we have a huge group of loons coming from the lower left side into the space. You guys can see it. I'm dropping loons pretty much everywhere. And now we're getting inside of the base. I'm placing the haste spells. We lost already quite some loons to the eagle, but that's no problem. Hey, rage and skeletons and a freeze for the enemy queen to take her out, the next haste spell. And you guys see I lost already quite a amount of loons, but it's no problem because we have still so many loons alive. We have 31 loons, so it's like a really big group of loons that is coming in overall. We have still the stammer left, and you guys see how fast the town was going down, which means we have still a big group of loons left. And now the next thing, how many loons should you deploy on which defense? And that's for the Sui LaLo normally kind of simple, because you can deploy on pretty much any defense at least 3 up to 5 to 6 loons. I think I had on this one around about 5 drop points, which means like 5 defenses I wanted to drop my loons on. So this is another thing, which means I had to place on nearly every defense up to 6 loons, which is a crazy amount of loons, but it's worth it if you don't have to drop loons on too many defenses. And you guys see this is a crazy overkill. And well, now it's up to you once again, guys. Let me know whether you like this type of explaining, like doing first the Legend and League attack, then the explanation of it. Because if I'm doing something like a guide or stuff like this, I could do this more often. I don't want to do it too often because I feel like it's more like it could become really easily boring for you guys, because it's at some point a lot of information. But I feel like for a strategy like this with Sui LaLo is so complicated. I want to like just try to give you guys a brief explanation how to do it and how to become better at it, because it's so strong right now, and I just recommend it to everyone pretty much to use it. So let me guys know what you think about the format, and I will see you guys in the next video again. See you guys, and bye bye.